Hey guys, today is day 10 of Glory Be. Today, as we're reading, we're still looking for character traits for Glory. Yesterday, when we finished reading, Jessalyn and Glory had gotten back from Tupelo, where they were visiting with Robbie to see Elvis's house. And Jessalyn makes Glory promise that she won't tell Robbie's secret about why he had to leave North Carolina. And Glory swears that she won't tell, and Jessalyn plays cards with her, and they start to build that sister bond again. So we're going to continue reading now and figure out what's going to happen next. Glory's last thought when we left off yesterday was she was thinking about writing another letter because she thinks it's wrong the way that some people are being treated and the way that everyone is so closed off to the idea of anybody different. Like how they got stopped by the police just because they thought they might be from out of town because they saw a North Carolina license plate. So we're going to read just chapter 18 today. It's a little bit longer of a chapter. So we're going to read this chapter together today, and we're looking for character traits for Glory. Chapter 18, The Storm on Sunday. The next day, on Sunday morning, Jessalyn and I stared out the window at little rivers of rain, turning our backyard home plate into a wading pool. We should head over to church soon, Jessalyn said. As if I didn't know. We can't be late. In addition to saving souls over at the First Fellowship, Daddy's job was turning on lights and ceiling fans, shutting windows tight against the rain or opening them wide to let the good Lord sunshine in. Our job was to get ourselves to junior choir practice 10 minutes before Mrs. Simpson played the first hymn. Days like this, I wished my daddy was a veterinarian or a taxi cab driver, anything but a preacher. I shut my eyes, wishing that I could pull Emma's quilt off of the bed in Mama's sewing room, cover up on the sofa next to the window, and read Nancy Drew to my heart's content. You think the rain will stop by the time we get to church? I asked. Before Jessalyn could answer, somebody started bamming hard on the front door. Glory, let me in, hurry! Frankie's hair was plastered down from the rain. His glasses were fogged over. He was dripping puddles of water. Hold your horses, Frankie. I stepped back from the door. What are you doing here? He held up what was left of a soggy sheet of paper. This was in our mailbox from my daddy from the pool committee. The pool's opening. Anybody can come. Jessalyn led Frankie into the kitchen. When she smoothed the notice out on the table, it started to rip. The ink was blurred, but it was there in black and white. Pool opening for July 4th. You reckon this means I can have my birthday there? And you and Laura and everybody can come? I won't believe it till I see the sign with my very own eyes, I said. Let's go. Have you looked outside? Jessalyn asked. Nobody goes to a swimming pool, open or closed, in this weather. But I didn't care. I wanted to be sure that pool closed sign was down. Frankie, get the umbrella, the big green one in the hall closet. I gave him the hairy eyeball. He'd better follow me quick. We're supposed to be at church before 11. Daddy'll kill us if we show up drenched and wet and late, Jessalyn said. Well, if you want to worry about being late to church, the first time in our entire lives, head on upstairs and get your Sunday clothes on, Miss Priss, I told her, opening the umbrella. Me and Frankie are going to the pool. It didn't take long before Jessalyn was kicking off her shoes and grabbing another umbrella. I was smiling big as all get out. Purple clouds filled up the sky as she and I hiked up our shorts and waded barefoot through the warm, muddy water. You should have kept your shoes on. Frankie stepped around a wide brown puddle. This stuff is full of germs, all the dead bugs and dog dew in the street. My science book says that the rainwater's polluted. Not much different from the baby pool down at Fireman's Park, if you ask me. Not that we'd sloshed around barefoot in the pee pool with the babies lately. Don't be such a sissy. It's just mud and rainwater, Jessalyn said. You need to get your nose out of those science books, Frankie. Once she'd changed her mind about being late for church, she was tromping through the water ahead of us like this was the most fun she'd had since joining the pep squad. When we got to the community pool, the three of us stood in front of the fence and stared. Sure enough, that closed sign was covered up by a big piece of cardboard tacked on the fence. The rain had faded the paint, making it look like my kindergarten art projects. But I could read the words plain as day. Pool opening soon, hanging moss picnic here, all welcome. I stared at that sign so long, I thought my eyes might burn clean in two. What happened to make your daddy and them change their minds? I asked Frankie. Maybe whatever was broken got fixed. His voice cracked and he looked away from the sign. Maybe something good will come from this stupid summer, and I'll get to have my pool party. I kicked water at Frankie just to see him jump. And then, for the fun of it, Jesslyn and I started singing at the top of our lungs. We opened our mouths and let raindrops in and the songs out. We started with Glory, Glory, Hallelujah, and ended with When the Saints Go Marching In, letting mud squish between our toes, just like when we were little, playing in the backyard. Frankie looked at us like we were crazy. What's the matter? I asked him. Aren't you happy we can swim now? For once, Frankie didn't have a single thing to say. Not even a quote out of his stupid encyclopedias about how many inches of rainfall Mississippi got every summer. But Jesslyn and I kept squishing and stomping, staring at that sign. We stopped singing when Frankie pointed over Jesslyn's shoulder. Hey, who's that? Driving that station wagon so slow? Frankie crinkled up his nose and stared across the street. Jesslyn and I turned at the same time, and of course, we knew exactly who it was sitting in that station wagon, with his arm hanging out the window in the rain. What y'all doing out here? I thought preacher's kids were supposed to sing on Sunday, except in the church. Robbie flashed that Elvis smile at Jesslyn, and right then and there, she stopped stomping in puddles. You're just jealous that we're having so much fun. We're celebrating, I told him. You see that sign? The pool's going to open again. Robbie looked at the fence gate. I saw his lips moving and another big smile start on his face when he got to the part of the sign that said, All welcome. I dare you to get out of the car, I told him. Nothing's stopping you from singing with us. Nothing but the fact that he was 16 years old and probably thought playing in rain puddles was something you gave up way before you got a driver's license. So when Robbie Fox swung open his door, kicked his pointy leather shoes back inside the car and stepped out, I was bowled over. Here's a good song for Sunday morning. In a voice Elvis wouldn't have minded one bit, Robbie belted out, 99 bottles of beer on the wall, 99 bottles of beer. Robbie grabbed Jesslyn's hand, and we all laughed our fools' heads off, marching through the rivers of water. All except for Frankie. When Jesslyn and Robbie ran off laughing and splashing together, Frankie stayed on the sidewalk, staring into the mud. My brother doesn't like him, he said, frowning across the street at Robbie. He's trying to take JT's place on the football team. Don't know why he had moved to Hanging Moss. Robbie was the star of his team in North Carolina, I'd said. Star, huh? Frankie rubbed his arm. JT had popped him so hard it left a new black bruise. So how come he didn't stay there? Maybe it was because Frankie looked so pitiful, standing there with his socks squished down and his shoes soaking wet, with his hair slicked back and raindrops starting on his glasses again. Or maybe it was because I was so happy the pool was opening and everything was going back to normal. But before I knew it, my words spilled out like the rain falling out of the sky. Well, it's a secret why he's here. Don't tell a single soul. I looked over my shoulder at Jesslyn and her boyfriend, jumping in puddles and splashing together. Promise? So, we have a couple of things to add about Glory. So we know that Glory is hopeful. And we know she's hopeful because she sees the pool sign that says the pool is opening. And thinks that everything is better. Or I guess everything is fixed. That's what she'd said. Whatever was fixed. Or whatever needed fixing got fixed. Thinks that everything is fixed. And that shows she's hopeful. She sees that sign on the pool and she's like, this is it. This means it's going to be a great summer and everything's going well. We also know that, again, she values friendship. Because even though Frankie and her have had fights, they're still friends and she's still wants to play with him and make him happy. So Glory wants Frankie to be happy, even though they have been fighting lately. And this shows again, she values her friendship with him because they've been friends, like she said, their whole lives. And even though lately they've been fighting over things like Laura and Robbie and the pool and his brother JT and all of these things, she still values that friendship that they've had enough to confide in him. She says she's going to tell him the secret. And she says, well, he stood there looking so pitiful. And she was happy the pool was open, but before she knew it, the words spilled out like rain falling from the sky. So Frankie's looking sad, and he's like, well, I don't really like Robbie. And she wants to make him happy. She wants to make him feel better. So she's going to tell him the secret that she swore not to tell. Frankie nodded his head, but I was in such a hurry to blab that I didn't even wait for him to pinky swear, which surely would have sealed the secret between us. Back in North Carolina, Robbie got thrown in jail. Even if it was for doing the right thing for a colored friend of his mama got mad and sent him to his aunt's because she was embarrassed. He even got his picture in the paper, eating with his friend at a lunch counter that was only for white people. I nudged closer to Frankie. When he glanced across at Robbie, I saw a look I'd never seen in my whole life seen on Frankie's face. It was a look of pure hatefulness. Your sister's boyfriend has colored friends? He was in jail? I realized then what I'd done by telling. My heart about jumped into the mud puddle I was standing in. I should have kept my mouth shut. Forget it, Frankie. Pretend like I didn't say anything. It was just something I heard. I willed myself to stop telling anything more about Robbie's secret. You mean he's like one of those freedom worker people? Frankie said. People messing up our town? No, he's not messing up anything. He's just here visiting his aunt. I grabbed Frankie's hand to make him look away. If Jessalyn finds out I told you, she'll never speak to me again. She's just starting to be my friend again. Don't go telling Robbie's secret. Frankie didn't cross his heart or promise not to tell. I gotta go, was all he said. And then he took off down the street, and all I could think about was how could somebody who cares so much about the moon and the stars and lightning bugs have a face that mean and hateful. We're going to stop there for a second. So Glory tells Frankie Robbie's secret. And Frankie has this look of hatefulness on his face that Glory's never seen before because Frankie has colored friends, has friends who are black. And Frankie thinks that that's wrong. And he thinks that it's not okay. And so he automatically hates Robbie, not only because he's competing with his older brother for football, but also because the fact that he has friends that aren't white. So, and Glory says here that Robbie got thrown in jail, even if it was for doing the right thing for a colored friend of his. So Glory thinks that it was the right thing for him to do to stick up for his friend. So that we know Glory believes in equality because she thinks Robbie did the right thing. Make sure you write this with me. By sticking up for his black friend Henry. In North Carolina. So, Glory thinks that Robbie did the right thing by sticking up for his black friend Henry in North Carolina. Since she said, well, he was doing the right thing, that shows she believes in equality. She thinks that his friend Henry should have been able to sit at the counter, that it shouldn't matter if you're black or white. You should be able to sit and have lunch at a counter. And so she thinks that Robbie did the right thing. So she believes in equality. All right. I'm going to start right here. Jesslyn and Robbie. Jesslyn and Robbie were singing so loud, they didn't notice me biting my lip to keep from crying. Well, their song went down to 23 bottles of beer on the wall. The knot in my stomach got bigger. Time for me to get out of here, Robbie said when he finished the last verse. See you tomorrow, Jesslyn. I heard him humming all the way back to his car. Jesslyn and I ran down Oak Street past the library, me holding my breath, praying that Frankie could keep the secret. Before I knew it, we were next to the back door choir entrance to Daddy's church, soaking wet and barefooted. We stopped skipping and turned beet red. Mrs. Simpson stood in front of the junior choir. They were decked out in white robes like a band of angels, lined up to march into the church. Waiting to lead the procession was our daddy, Brother Joe, with his preacher voice going. In a serious, stern tone, he said, Gloriana and Jesslyn, get on home and change. You still have time to get to choir loft before I begin my sermon. We put our heads down and slugged home in the drizzle, not talking until we were at our own back door. Daddy's mad, Jesslyn said as we turned the hose on to wash off our feet. I hope he never finds out about Tupelo. You didn't tell him, did you, Glory? I crossed my fingers behind my back, which means my lie didn't count half as bad. I didn't tell about Tupelo. I kept our secret. But, well, I'd only kept half the secret. The rain stopped. Sun was pushing through the clouds. We hurried inside to put our church dresses and slick down our wet hair. Right about the time Jesslyn and I slipped into the upstairs choir loft together, Mrs. Simpson banged out the first notes of the Saints of God. I looked towards the end of my hard wooden pew. No Frankie. Was he cutting church this morning? Then Brother Joe raised up in his pulpit and beamed towards the congregation. But I got the idea that our daddy wasn't exactly feeling patient and brave and true in his heart towards me and Jesslyn. Let's bow our heads, he said, and everything got quiet. Thinking about the pool opening and hearing the soft piano music playing and seeing the sun shining through the church windows should have filled me up with happiness. But before Daddy could say his first amen, I squeezed my eyes shut. Please, God, keep Robbie's secret safe with Frankie. So that is the end of that chapter. So we know that Glory is feeling really guilty. So means that she is, how do we put this? Because feeling guilty isn't a trait, it's a feeling. But if you feel guilty because you did something wrong, it means that you have a good conscience or that you're a truthful person. She tells Frankie the secret and then she feels guilty about it. So we know that she's truthful. And we can put conscience. I probably spelled that wrong. Because Glory tells Frankie the secret and feels guilty for breaking Jesslyn's trust. So we've got 4 things here today that I want you to write down before you do the Google form, okay? Because these are the 4 things those questions are going to be based off of. Gloria is hopeful. She sees the pool sign says it's opening and she thinks everything's fixed, everything's going to be better because it says all welcome. She values friendship. She wants Frankie to be happy. She wants him to feel better when he looks sad and she sees he has a bruise on his arm from his brother and she wants him to feel happy and she wants him to feel better because even though they've been fighting lately, she values that friendship because they've been friends for her whole life. She believes in equality because she thinks Robbie did the right thing by sticking up for his friend Henry. She thinks that even though Robbie got put in jail because it was against the law for Henry to sit there and Robbie didn't listen to the police officer when he told him to move and all of those things, Glory still thinks he did the right thing because he was sticking up for his friend. And she's truthful. She's a conscience, because when she tells Frankie the big secret, she feels really guilty after it. She feels really bad that she broke Jesslyn's trust. And she begs Frankie not to tell. And she begs God. She says, please let Frankie keep this secret, because she feels really bad that she told him, because she's a truthful person and she has a good conscience. And she knows that telling that secret was wrong. So make sure that you pause the video right now if you don't have this written down. Write down this list first. Then go to the Google form, answer the questions, and turn in your assignment. I'll see you next time.